And welcome back to Live with Lighthouse, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in with us on Friday morning. I'm your host, Joe Ray, coming back after a week away, and hope everyone had a nice Labor Day weekend and unofficial end of summer. And now we're transitioning into fall and the school year, and tons of exciting things happening for us around the tech community in Western New York, too. So really excited for what's to come the next few months and excited for what we have to come on the show. We've had a lot of great episodes lately here on Live with Lighthouse about the tech hub in Western New York, about the companies that are building up this tech hub, attracting talent here. There's a lot of people also making an effort to build outwards from that tech hub, community outreach, driving this conscious outreach, finding people where they are, making people aware of all the opportunities here. So I'm really excited to have two people who are helping to drive a lot of these initiatives as well from a great nonprofit called TechBuffalo. Let's bring them up on screen here. First up is Rachel Eastlack.
Hello.
From TechBuffalo. And we also have Mary Ruelle from TechBuffalo as well. Welcome and thanks so much for joining us today. And really big fan of all the work that you're doing in the Buffalo community here. Rachel, starting with you, maybe just introduce yourself a little bit and what brought you to TechBuffalo.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having us this morning, Joe. We are really excited to be here. My name is Rachel Eastlack, and I am the Community Impact Program Lead at TechBuffalo. And I would say my journey was a little bit unique. I come from the field of social work. So my background has been a lot in case management, working within foster care and adoption for multiple organizations in the community, as well as doing some therapy work. So I started to transition more into program development, more community work. Once I realized that I wanted to take a larger scope and still remain in the community in Western New York and look into opportunities that I could have with that. So this position made a lot of sense, coming with TechBuffalo and being able to still interact with community very, very, very often, as well as being able to push really, really cool initiatives and hopefully grow the tech sector here in Western New York.
I love it. And Mary, same question to you. What brought you to TechBuffalo?
For sure. Yeah. So my background is in education. So I have worked in both the high school space and the college space. Primarily in the college space, I have my degree is in higher education administration, student affairs. So I come from campus. I have spent a lot of time on campus. And when this position, came up, it was a really exciting way where I could interact with more students on a higher level, on a bigger scope, and in Buffalo, in the city that I grew up in and that I really care about. So bringing all that knowledge with me from the college space, from working on campus, and kind of growing it there, on the larger level has been really exciting.
Incredible. I'm so excited to dig into just how those unique experiences are contributing to the work you're doing in TechBuffalo, because we're talking about community outreach to underserved communities and connecting them to all the opportunities available in tech. We're talking about higher education in Buffalo too. Lots of college students that come here, and we want them to know what it's like working in Buffalo and stay after graduation as well. So it's really cool to see the backgrounds between just making connections, within those communities and then bringing that experience to TechBuffalo. So Mary, maybe we'll start with you here. Can you talk a little bit about some initiatives you've been working on with TechBuffalo?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So our main objectives with college students are to help them understand what is available to them in Western New York. At TechBuffalo, we're really trying to create an inclusive, a sustainable, and an accessible tech ecosystem. And with our college students, we lose about 70% of them once they graduate. We have 20 colleges in our region. That doesn't even include Rochester, just those 5 most western counties of New York State. And so many of them study tech. There are thousands of tech graduates. Many who have advanced skill sets are getting their master's degrees, have a lot of work experience, and we are losing them to larger cities, with maybe more well-known tech industries. I mean, everyone wants to go to Silicon Valley and New York City, and so they don't realize the amazing tech ecosystem that we have here. We call ourselves, when we look at our tech industry, we find that we're more tech enabled. And so, we don't have the Amazon and the Google and the meta here, but what we do have are really thriving industries that really rely on tech to grow, things like finance and healthcare. And so helping students understand and see where their skills can be really valuable to these other industries is something that we do a lot. We do that primarily through programming and exposure. So we are bringing employers to students, bringing students to employers through programs throughout the semester. This past summer, we just finished up a program, very first of the year, pilot program called Power Up Tech, where we brought together 12 different employers across the region and over 160 interns, many from Buffalo, many from not from Buffalo, experiencing our city for the first time, to help them build community with each other, to network, to get to know what the industry is like here, what options are available to them after graduation in an attempt to retain them once they graduate. So really excited about that. We're already planning for 2024 and looking for employers who want to opt in and bring their interns into that tech community. And then we got a lot of fall programming coming up as well. We're doing a hackathon next weekend at UB that's focused on tech and startups in our region. And then we have a program coming up at the end of the month called Pathways to Tech, which I will let Rachel talk about as well. But yeah, it's really exciting stuff going on. We're just trying to help students understand and know what they don't know, so that they can make the decision to stay here and see what Buffalo and our tech industry has to offer.
Yeah. Thanks, Mary. There's just so much opportunity there too. And you mentioned some of those tech-enabled industries as well, of finance, healthcare, manufacturing also being one that's got a really long history in Buffalo. Obviously, the connection to the Erie Canal and all the history there. So many of those are creating opportunities in tech that people might not necessarily think of it as tech. But Rachel, maybe this connects a little bit into the work that you do. There's lots of opportunities for people from different backgrounds, from different communities, to get involved, to learn the skills to move into these industries as well. And that can create some great change as well.
Absolutely. And we see that, right? So we see so many of these tech roles, especially here in the community, that are coming up that are providing family sustaining wages. They would be, really great for so many of our community members to be able to get involved. And what we've realized is oftentimes community members may not even know that these options are available to them. So one of the things that I started working on when I joined back in December, we're starting community conversations. And so that is where we're literally going to, organizations within the community, our partners, and really trying to encourage others to come out, ask questions, have a very safe space to be able to have these conversations about, what does a tech career entail? What does even a pathway into tech look like? We also have worked with the tech trainers in the area and really have pulled them together with our quarterly convenings, hoping that we are able to, become less siloed and really know what's going on in the ecosystem, ways that we can partner with one another, ways that we can, figure out maybe which certificate programs and which trainings end up being the most impactful for our local employers. So it really is a lot of connecting, and that's what we say we are at TechBuffalo, right? We are that convener, we're the connector. We want to recognize that we are not the experts in, this space, but that we are able to bring the experts together to make sure that community members, college students, everyone is getting the information that they need and are being presented with opportunities to really up-level their careers.
I love it. And those connections that you make are so impactful and makes a really big difference in the community as well. And we've got a couple connections coming up in the chat here already. Thanks for everyone tuning in live here. We've got Lynn Thornton popping in. Power Up Tech Pilot was very successful. So shout out to Mary and everybody who made Power Up Tech possible. And thanks to Allison from our team at Lighthouse chiming in here too. Love working with and going to TechBuffalo events to help promote Buffalo and the tech scene here. So lots of champions in your corner, and it takes everyone to come together. So thanks everyone for tuning in on the comments on LinkedIn here as well. The thing I always think about with Buffalo is the spirit of collaboration. And, obviously City of Good Neighbors, it kind of comes with the territory. But you both talked a lot there too about just how it takes a village, and you're convening spaces where people can get together and shape change in our city as well. What are some of the partnerships and some of the different communities of people you've had to bring together to make all these programs possible?
Do you want me to go ahead, Mary?
Sure.
With that, yeah, we've really been able to partner with so many great organizations. And I know I'm not going to hit on everybody, so please forgive me if you don't hear your name. But most recently, we had a community cookout that we had with the Foundry. So they were able to host us over at Northampton, and we did that in collaboration with Boot Sector. And that was a really great way we saw to be able to bring our entire community together. So it wasn't necessarily just college and university students, but rather it was college and university professionals, community members, being able to come together, enjoy a meal, hang out, have a good time, connecting. I know a lot of partnerships and relationships were built from that event. And so we noticed that was definitely a really great way for us to continue to connect. We've been connecting with Beverly Gray, and I'm sure you've seen all the events that they had, especially last month for Black Business Month, and the ways that they're able to bring organizations together. That's been something that's been really great. And again, like I said, with our tech trainers convenings, we're always looking to have our events and things with other organizations. So, we want to get out and be able to have it in other spaces with those organizations that we know are recognized by the community for already really doing that work and having those relationships. And we're able to come and partner alongside and hopefully, bolster the communication that they already have.
Love it. And shout out to Beverly Gray there as well, especially.
Yes.
Lots of incredible people over there.
Mm-hmm.
Mary, on the education side, obviously students and educators are, the core audience you're trying to reach out to. But what does that look like trying to get educators and students and employers all in the same room to come together around common goals?
Yeah, 100%. And you actually just kind of nailed on the three, the three pieces that we try and work with. We try and work with the talent, we try and work with the educators and trainers, and work with the employers. And as we see ourselves as an intermediary organization. So really working within those three to bring everyone together, get everyone on the same page, help grow the ecosystem collaboratively, because like you said, it's a village and we can't do it alone. All those three groups of folks need to work together to help the whole city and the ecosystem grow. We are, when we think about partners in the college and university space, we're connected to 7 of the 20 campuses in Western New York. We are largely connected with UB, Buffalo State, Canisius, Niagara, lots of other schools too, and the employer partners too are where we've really appreciated their collaboration and their input with the college programming. Every college program that we do, whether it's a large summer program like Power Up Tech, where we're bringing 160 students together and a dozen employers, large and small, even to smaller campus events where we're bringing a speaker or a mentor or just a networking event, things like that. All of those connections are so important, and it is so awesome to see the employers get connected directly with the students to get to know each other. And again, all about that exposure and understanding. So I really have to shout out those employers for coming to the table, showing up, especially over the summer. We worked with M&T Tech, we worked with Moog, Univera, incredible partners, 43 North and, some of their portfolio companies, Mod Tech Labs, and I'm not going to name everyone. And so I apologize in advance. Ingram Micro, Kubrick, Aileron. So it was really awesome to see the many employers and also employers from different parts of the tech industry, right? Come together. The Jacobs Institute was there. I'm remembering as we go along, just to see, and then to see those students with the different skill sets come together too, and understand how they work together and how they fit together. So, definite, shout out to those employers, and then on campus to the faculty, staff members, students too. I mean, the students are the ones running the clubs and running the initiatives, and, they're the ones that are looking for opportunities for their peers too, and really being leaders. And so we love partnering with them as well.
It's incredible. And there's so many connections to make there that it really takes a C effort to bring everybody together. But also the exposure part that you mentioned in there too, of, how many different parts of Buffalo do we talk about? And we say it over and over of, if only people saw this, they'd fall in love and they'd see what we see too. So much of that is just exposure. And, getting students out and off campus into the community and seeing what's here. So really impressive work. So great to hear about all of that as well. I'm curious too, you've both been with TechBuffalo now, Mary, a little over a year, I think, and Rachel, just past 6 months.
I'll be at a year in December. Yeah.
Wow. Time flies.
Yes.
Love it. And in that time, as you're making different connections throughout the community, I'm just curious, like, what part inspires you the most about the work that you get to do?
Want me to start, Rachel?
Yeah. Mary, if you want to start with this one, go for it.
Yeah. So I think something that was really exciting about this role when I came to TechBuffalo, which now that I'm like looking at the calendar in the corner of my screen, it's been almost a year and a half, which is wild to even think about.
Fun, yeah.
It's so true. But when I came to this role, it was new. And Rachel's role was new as well. As a small growing nonprofit, there's a lot of startup in what we do, and testing and learning and figuring out, where we fit, how we can be most helpful in the community. Like, college students are my people. Like, I just love them. They're my favorite group of people. And Buffalo is my city. I did leave for about 7 years, and that, lived a couple other places and then came back, right before the pandemic. This community is just continually inspiring to me. And so being in this work with, the people I'm really passionate about, the communities that I'm really passionate about, it's really fulfilling work. And I don't know that there's a better way to put it than that, is that it's just fulfilling work.
Nice. Yeah. I always love hearing all those Buffalo boomerang stories of people who grew up here, moved away, came back, and it's incredible to be part of all this too. So love hearing that. Yeah. And Rachel, what about you? What have you been enjoying so far?
Yeah, so very similar to Mary in the fact that, considering Buffalo, my hometown and the place I love and want to encourage others to stay and hopefully come to. So being able to really remain connected to the community was such a large part of, me wanting to take this role. And then also, like Mary said, the fact that it was new, it was something that, I felt was exciting to take on, although realizing there are so many different challenges that come with that, but it allows us to kind of make our own paths, right? And see what we are, excelling at in areas that were really great. And also then being able to recognize areas where it's like, hey, I really would love partnership in this and can use, a helping hand or another expert in this space. And one thing I love about Buffalo is it's really hard to actually find people that are going to say no to you. Most people, for the most part, really do want to be within community and be collaborative and really do see the growth and so much change that's happening in the city and excited about it. And so that's really something that inspires me, is being able to walk into just about any place here and not only hear, a Go Bills, but really have a conversation with somebody and you're like, wow, that was unexpected. Or, hey, we have a connection and now we're, going to follow up with that organization. And, with TechBuffalo, we hear so many stories about somebody coming to our event, getting connected to somebody else, getting a job, perhaps getting their child, enrolled in a club or a camp that came out of that event. And that's just really inspiring and exciting for us as a small organization.
Yeah, it's incredible. And those connections that make everything possible too. Like you said, so often it's either a yes or it's a, hey, no, but I also know someone else that you should talk to too, and go from there too. That there's always a connection to be made. So, so thanks for sharing that. Really curious to hear as well about, upcoming events and what you're looking forward to. And I guess the rest of this fall before we even get to 2024. Here we are, September 8th. Now, as I look at the calendar here, next week, actually 716 Career Fair. Which has been a great event and attracting, hundreds of job seekers. So shout out to Forge Buffalo and you guys for, putting all these types of events together. Really looking forward to that next week. I don't know if either of you are going to be there from TechBuffalo. What are you looking forward to at that event?
Yeah, so we'll be there. We're partnering with Be in Buffalo and West Buffalo Niagara on a resource section of the fair. And, we'll be advertising, primarily there, having people get signed up for our newsletter so they know about the work we're doing. They know about the opportunities that they have with TechBuffalo. But then also letting folks know about a large scale event that we have coming up at the end of the month called Pathways to Tech, which is a community resource fair. And Rachel and I have worked on that together. But I'm going to pass it over to her to talk more about that.
Yeah, so that event will be held on September 27th at Northland, another really great community partner, from 4 to 7 p.m. Right now, I believe we have just under 30 organizations that will be there. We're hoping to have it a little bit closer, to 40 or 50 that are able to join us. But it's anything from, some of our tech trainers will be there with tabling, all the way to the prenatal, perinatal network, right? So we want to make sure that we are looking and addressing so many different resources or, potential barriers that our community members may have to getting into the workforce, getting into the tech workforce and learning more about it. So we're really excited to, be in Northland and have that space and a good chunk of that day to really make sure that we can have community members come in, learn more about all the different organizations that are there. We are excited too, because we're actually going to have it resemble some types of pathways. So if you are brand new to tech and you don't necessarily know what tables you should be looking at or who you should be connecting with, we are going to have a little map for you. So we don't want anyone to feel like, it doesn't pertain to them or they can't find something that they could get out of it. We really want to make sure that we have resources available for any community member that comes in.
That's awesome, and looking forward to that event as well, because that's such a great concept of career fairs are typically just employers and candidates and get them together too. But the fair also ties into, I'm going to dig back a little bit because I know a term I've heard at other TechBuffalo events before is wraparound services, and kind of saying, hey, all these things that, aren't directly related to the work or a hard skill that somebody might bring to a potential position, but all the other just community resources that people need to go about their day and have jobs be available to them. Rachel, if you want to start a little bit about that, maybe you could kind of talk about that concept of wraparound services and some of the work to bring those.
Absolutely. And that's something, that as a social worker is something that we focus on heavily, is understanding how can we expect individuals to show up fully at, their place of employment if they're worrying about how they're getting there, where their kids are, even what's going to be for dinner later that day. So we really do, want to be able to work with members on taking down barriers. So helping them figure out transportation, childcare needs, helping them figure out, if they want to get connected, speaking with mental health counselors, other networkers, other case managers for, whatever reasons that they may have. We want to make sure that it's accessible, especially when it comes to those that we know are employed, but perhaps are underemployed and really, could and should be making more money and really have, the ability to excel, but are feeling, disconnected from having those other resources. It's another great partnership again with Be in Buffalo. So we're really excited about the day in total. We have great sponsors who have really stepped up and have been really incredible with this. So we're really hoping for a great turnout and to have, as many resources there as we can, but recognizing that individuals are much more than, where they work and what they do, but rather who they are holistically. And so making sure that we're able to reach other points of need as well.
Yeah, and shout out to Northland Workforce Training Center too, a place that's not only driving a lot of technical innovation in that manufacturing space, but also upskilling employees, offering lots of training and workshops and those kinds of things. And I've seen all the cool, like the cobots and all the different technology that's going into manufacturing now is a really incredible space too. So going back to some of those tech enabled fields in Buffalo, just really cool to be able to welcome people into that space too. So September 27th for Pathways into Tech.
Yes.
Really looking forward to that. For anyone who's watching this live, thanks to everybody who's tuned in, or for anybody who's watching the recording back on YouTube. Mary, could you let people know maybe what's the best way to get in touch with TechBuffalo and learn about what's coming up next?
Absolutely. So, definitely our website, just techbuffalo.org. That's, where you're going to see all the resources that we offer, where we, post about our events, things like that. Also get connected with us on, on LinkedIn. You can follow us at TechBuffalo. You can connect directly with us. If you want to chat, you want to learn more. I mean, we're always open to those conversations with, individual community members, individual students, employers, anyone who wants to get involved or who just has questions. Please don't hesitate to to reach out to us individually. We've got an Instagram, we've got Facebook, so there are lots of different ways to see what we have, to see what we have going on. And then if you want to get in touch with me directly, if you are a student, if you're, looking for more information, if you're looking to partner with one of our colleges and some of our college tech talent, my email address is mruelle@techbuffalo.org. Feel free to reach out at any time.
Yeah. And Rachel, same for you. If people want to get in touch and reach out as a community partner.
Yeah, same for me, Eastlack@techbuffalo.org. And again, I would love to just highlight our newsletter because I know that's really where all of this information lies with all of our different events. We have a ton of stuff coming up. So I know we just briefly touched on a few things, but that is, of course, where you'll find all of that, as well as you can enter into our See Yourself in Tech campaign. And so that, again, is another great spot where if you are curious about what it looks like in tech, or if you're a pivoting professional, we have a lot of different tools and things provided there as well.
Yeah. I'm really thankful that the two of you could come on the show today and talk a little bit about the work that you're doing with TechBuffalo, but obviously an entire great team over there. So Sarah, Sydney, Cam, DeMonte, shout out to all you as well. Thanks for all you do and the whole team over there. And Dylan, yeah, Dylan, great work too. Thank you so much. Bringing the show home here, we always do a little segment at the end called Be a Lighthouse, where I ask each guest to, just in the spirit of helping people, give a shout out to someone who's supported you lately or helped you learn something new. And Rachel, let's start with you.
So it's going to feel definitely maybe a little bit silly, but I want to give a shout out to two spectacular people with spectacular organizations. Akua Menzadu over at Clementine Gold. She is a personal mentor of mine and someone I look up to, always with encouragement, always has, so much going on, but also is such a great activist in the community and really sharing the information that she has with organizations and making them more prepared to handle, those conversations when it comes to diversity, equity, inclusion in the workplace. And then also Stephanie P at Say Yes. I feel like every time I see her, she's doing something else, whether it's, with Say Yes or, Second Chapter Bookstore. And so both of them are people I look up to immensely, and I'm really excited about the growth and trajectory that they have. I'm feeling very inspired by both of them.
Yeah, two absolute rock stars in the community, and thanks for giving them a shout out, Rachel. And Mary, over to you.
I have two as well. I'm gonna, break the rules a little bit.
Let's go. Love it.
So I would definitely want to give a shout out to Jenna Kavanaugh over at National Grid. She has been a great mentor of mine. National Grid has been an incredible community partner. From our Power Up Tech program to other smaller things in between. They're a sponsor for Pathways to Tech, and we're just so grateful for all their support. And for Jenna sharing her experience, always giving great advice, helping me think about things differently, as we continue to grow TechBuffalo and grow this role. And then also a shout out to Hedar Borden from Blackstone Launchpad over at UB. She is a phenomenal community resource, not only for UB students, but for the broader community as well. Everyone knows Hedar, and everyone knows how dedicated she is to helping students get what they need to thrive. And she works a lot with startups, and we do too. A lot of startups are tech, and so her and I have been very closely partnered on a couple events, together. If you are a UB student, if you know Hedar, if you know Blackstone Launchpad, come join us for the hackathon next weekend. But yeah, definitely, those two folks have been incredible mentors to me, really inspirational, definitely women I look up to, when I think about my career in the future and what we can do for this community.
Yeah, I love it. Shout out to Jenna, shout out to Hedar, and shout out to all of you as well and your community partners, and really big fan of the work you're doing to help bring Buffalo's tech community together. So thank you so much. Really enjoyed the time on the show today.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks everyone who tuned in for Live with Lighthouse this week. Come back next week, Friday at 9:30. We've got Kim Marino from Independent Health coming on to talk about some of their culture and people operations and building community there at Independent Health. So really looking forward to that as well. And Rachel and Mary, thanks so much for your time today. Have a great day.
Thanks, you too.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, everyone.